So what academic skills do I want to target? How am I going to incorporate student choice in my lessons? And what kind of transfer-based assessment, authentic assessment, do I want to develop? If only I had some kind of framework to help me. Hey, Mr. Urban, thanks for coming.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Doing great. Took Sybil out to dinner last night. We love the Olive Garden. Love those breadsticks. Love the Olive Garden?
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
yeah. I always have too much food though, and the waiter comes up and says, "Yeah, do you want a box for your leftovers?" And I said, "No, I'll wrestle you for it." This is your pre-conference meeting, and in this meeting, we want to just have a conversation. And I'm hopeful through that conversation, we can surface some agreed upon understandings that maybe we can formulate into goals that would be the kind of goals that would be relevant to you, that you can really deeply engage in. And so to kind of get us started in that process, just want to know what are some of the learning problems that you're experiencing or academic skills you're thinking about targeting for these goals.
Well, for world history, a core academic skill for both my regular world and my AP history class, world history class, is the development of thesis statements and the use of evidence to support those thesis statements. So I'd like to target thesis statement creation this year.
Yeah, I think that's a good skill, definitely relevant to that curriculum and certainly a core academic skill. How do you know that that's a skill worth targeting? What kind of data do you have to support that?
Well, for my AP class, the College Board gives us an instructional planning report every year. And while I'm happy with the outcome, from looking at the numbers for the free response section, I have a lot of students in my third, fourth, I think, that go to high school.
Mm-hmm.
And that actually seems to mirror very closely what I see from my internal data from my regular work. So I would like to use the data that I've collected from my assessments and the data from the College Board to guide my interventions and my assessments.
Right. I like that you're using both an external assessment to do that and an internal assessment, so that should be great data to kind of track. And certainly, I agree with you. That's worth targeting. So if that's the skill we're going to target, then the next step in the process is kind of think about what are some interventions and engagement interventions we would use for that skill.
Well, I gave an early assessment for just a few weeks of the school year that tested where students are at with thesis statement production. I took that to my professional learning community, and Andrew Jones is in my professional learning community. He has been working. He has a really nice document that includes a tutorial on how to create thesis statements. So he shared that with the whole group, and that's going to be my immediate intervention, is to put that on Canvas, have students go through the tutorial. The next time I give a test, I'm going to show them the test question ahead of time and have some peer interaction with that document, with the tutorial, and then see how the actual assessment goes.
Okay. Any other kind of just general engagement strategies or instructional strategies that you might use to kind of help you in that goal?
Well, this is the student choice piece that I'm excited about. Student choice will come in two forms. When I give a direct assessment, I intend to give two types of questions that students could answer. But that's still me making the questions. And so when I give them projects, I'd like to have instead of me giving them a choice of projects, I'd like to have a standing rule that if students find something that they're interested in, we could have a conversation and develop the parameters for the project that they want to create. And so they would have the opportunity to come to me and shape the rules of the project they want to create, the instructions, and then even have a hand in shaping the rubric. And that's what I'm calling student choice. It's standing, so the students could either engage in the project I give them, or they can develop something with me that expresses their learning in a different way.
I love that, choice, and we know that choice leads to engagement, and certainly one of the best practices not only we've talked about here at Fishers High School, but the district's talked about as well. So I love that you are willing to give students that space and you're willing to work alongside them and build that in, and it'll be interesting for you to track how those students do and whether that intervention truly does show growth in their ability to form a thesis and then support it with evidence. So I think that's a great reflection. I'm certainly supportive of those interventions. You talked a little bit about your PLC helping you, Mr. Jones. That's great. Any other ideas on maybe how the PLC might help you engage with this goal?
Yeah, Mrs. Pritchard has gone to AP training, and she's been an AP grader for the tests, and they really focus on thesis statements. And I would like to observe her class one day when she is engaging students for the purpose of showing them how the AP grades the thesis statements and what a proper thesis statement, what the elements of that are.
So would you need me to get subs then for you to be able to do that? Is that something I could do to help support you in this goal?
That would be great if we get a sub for 25, 30 minutes. I think that would give me the opportunity to.
I think we can do that. She's a great resource and be great. And that's one of the things about what I'm excited about with this talent development system is not only using your primary evaluator, but using your colleagues as well as partners along this goal. As you try to measure this goal, which is always difficult, we've been talking a lot about authentic assessments in our building for several years and kind of getting away from those multiple choice and really more of a relevant assessment of skills. What kind of things have you thought about to measure growth for this goal?
I have assessments. I think what's equally as important as the assessment is to use a consistent rubric. And so that I know that the score that the students get on the first assessment and the score that they get at the end is measured on the same parameters. And so I have an assessment here that I've given for a number of years that I like that involves analyzing the development of human rights in Western civilization. And that starts with the Declaration of Independence. It goes through the French Revolution with the Declaration of Rights of Man and Citizen. There's the Declaration of Sentiments, which begins the women's rights movement. And then also the 1948 UN Declaration of Human Rights. And so the students read that, organize it, they have to make an argument, which is the thesis statement piece, and then support that argument with textual evidence. But I want to use that part of my rubric that focuses on the thesis statement to collect that evidence.
And then they'll have multiple opportunities to kind of perform that academic skill throughout the year?
Yes, this is the formative or the summative assessment, and I'll have several formative assessments that will lead up to this. They will practice this probably a dozen times.
Okay. And so then when we develop your goal, think about, as you start to assign a number, what they would need to do maybe on those formative assessments to show you the growth that you need to kind of go back to your goal of what you want to accomplish on that external assessment.
Okay.
Does that sound like something that would work for you?
Absolutely.
Great. Well, I feel like we've accomplished a mutually agreed upon goal. The next part would be to really put it down on paper and to go through that goal setting form. Once you're done with it, you'll need to set some clear numbers that you want to achieve. When you're finished with that, you just upload it to Standards for Success. Okay. And then the last thing we need to do in this meeting is to schedule your observation. And so I'd like to come in the week of the 24th through the 28th. I've got a hole in my schedule reserved for that. And you get to pick what period, what class. And so just let Judy know what period you want me to come in, and I'll be there to do your long observation.
Sounds great. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Oh, he said he would wrestle him for the food, but not box him.